Hello everyone, Keep Garden Tech Guy here with another video. And 2016 is going away and it's time to highlight some of the best tech that came true for us this year in all categories. So let's start with this video, shall we? 2016, what do you have to offer? Let's start off from the mobile section. The Blue Life 1X 2 from Blue. Yes, now this phone has been a good, I should say, cheap flagship phone because this phone had some pretty high-end specs for a very cheap price, and it's on sale currently. Now, the Blue Life 1X had a 5.5-inch, 5.2 inside Full HD display with a 1.4 GHz octa-core processor, and also with the options of 16 and 64 gigs of storage options. It had a wonderful design and had a fingerprint sensor mounted at the front and ran an Android Marshmallow. It had a Snapdragon 410 processor, 64-bit with Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0, and the camera was a 60 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel selfie camera with face detection, autofocus, and a f2.4 aperture. And this phone sold pretty well, and it was one of the best budget phones out there. Well, I shouldn't say budget, like cheap high-end phones. And also it had the options of 4 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of storage and 2 gigs of RAM with 16 gigs of storage. Now let's move on to what Motorola had to offer this year. And Motorola innovated slash Lenovo with their Moto Z phones. That's the new Moto Z phones. The Moto Z phones at first were sought out to be expensive phones, but there were cheaper versions like the Moto Z Play. Now first, the Moto Z phones came out as Droid phones, just as exclusive to Verizon, but they soon came unlocked. Now the Moto Z and Moto Z Droid was at around $600. Yes, the Moto Z unlocked was $699 and the Z Droid was $624. Both having a very thin quality GSM, also for the unlocked one, and 30 hours of battery life, and a dual tone camera. The Z Droid had a 21 megapixel camera with 40-hour battery life. It has the same camera like the regular Z, but it was a bit thicker and it had Motorola's shadow shield display technology. The Moto Z Play was priced at $449.99 for unlock and $408 for the Z Play Droid. Now it had a 50-hour standby long life battery, also with the same dual tone technology, and a 60 megapixel main camera and 8 megapixel selfie camera. And also, unlike the Moto Z and the Z Force, it has a headphone jack. So if you wanted a Moto Z, but you still wanted a headphone jack, the Z Play was there. The Moto G4 lineup, which includes the G4 Plus, the G4, and the G4 Play. Now the G4 Plus, most people prefer this one with a 6 megapixel main camera with laser autofocus and a fingerprint sensor mounted to the front bottom area, and also with an octa-core processor. The G4 with a octa-core processor and a 8 megapixel camera. Also, it did not have a fingerprint sensor, but they all with a removable battery. All of them are removable battery, and this is one of the best budget phones to use out there. And the G4 Play, which is the lowest end one, but it had a quad-core processor, and for $149 you are getting good battery life, which gave you at about up to 15 hours or so, with 3,500 amp battery capacity. And the thing is, all three of these phones came unlocked. Now let's move over to the Honor 8. Yes, the Honor 8 was the best one that Huawei had to offer with their Honor lineup this year, with a dual cameras, a top megapixel dual camera setup, 3D fingerprints, and fast charging technology. It had 2.5D glass with round edges. It had some very good design. It had dual IPS, and it had some cool camera features like hybrid autofocus, and also the 8 megapixel front facing camera. The CPU was a 2.3 GHz optical processor and a i5 core processor also, and it had a 5.2 inch with full HD, and it had a eye care mode. Also a 3000 mAh battery with fast charging, and it came with EMUI 4.1 and should see EMUI 5 sometime soon. Now let's move to OnePlus. The OnePlus 3. Most of y'all know the OnePlus 3, but some say, why isn't the OnePlus 3T on my list? Well, I'm fully aware with the OnePlus 3T. The OnePlus 3T can go alongside with the OnePlus 3. They're basically the same, just that the OnePlus 3T is a spec boost. But mainly the OnePlus 3, it days power in half an hour. Now this phone had a lot to offer for $400. It had dash charging technology, which can charge your phone just half, which can give you about 50% or over in just half an hour, with a USB Type-C cable and adapter. And it also had Oxygen OS, which was based on Android Marshmallow. And with the release of the OnePlus 3T, they announced a update for both the OnePlus 3 and the 3T for a nougat update in their Action OS. Design was a premium metal body design where the camera had a little bump at the back there. It was nice, and a 5.5 inch Super AMOLED display. The camera was a 60 megapixel camera and 8 megapixel rear front facing camera, and it did very well. And also it had 6 gigs of RAM and was one of the first phones to run on Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 with Adreno 530 GPU, which was very insane and fast for gaming. So if you wanted a phone with some high-end specs and good performance, but they want to spend $600 and $500, the OnePlus 3 was a phone for you to look for. Now let's hand over to Google, mother of Android. Google launched the Google Pixel a while back this year, not too long. Some agreed with it, some disagreed with the pricing. I know I was kind of disappointed with the pricing, but hey, it was had a lot to offer still. It's the first phone with Google Assistant built in, not to mention that it has Android Nougat 7.1. Also, it has the highest rated phone camera ever, and it truly lives up to that, even with a 12.3 megapixel camera. And it had large 1.55 pixels. And not only that, with Google Photos, you had unlimited Google Photo storage on this phone, which is exclusive. Not only that, your 4K content will be backed up in 4K. How awesome is that? And also, it is seamless glass aluminum body. It had glass at top and aluminum at bottom. And you had the Pixel and the Pixel XL. The Pixel was a 5-inch display, and the Pixel XL was a 5.5-inch display, both with both with a vivid display. Now the Pixel X had a quad HD display, which the regular Pixel had a full HD display, and it was available on Verizon, of Google themselves, Spotify, and Best Buy. Let's head over onto Alcatel. Boom me up with the Alcatel Idol 4 and 4S. Now this phone was awarded with the MWC 16 awards. Now the Alcatel Idol 4 was a 5.2-inch Full HD IPS display, in which the Alcatel Idol 4S had a 2K AMOLED display. Now these phones came with VR support. You could buy them without the VR goggles or with the VR goggles, and they were very cheap with the VR goggles. The Idol 4, well, it had the boom key and also some good sounding speakers, and a 30 megapixel camera and 8 megapixel front camera, in which the Idol 4S had also a 2K display, VR in the box like I said earlier, and the boom key also, the same audio but with a 16 megapixel camera and 8 megapixel with the same camera, but it had a AMOLED display, which was way better. Now let's head on over to Asus. The Asus Transformer Mini. Now this is a 2-in-1 PC. It had a 10.1-inch HD touchscreen, Intel Atom X5 Z8 350 processor, 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of eMMC memory. You had up to 11 hours of battery life and includes keyboard and pen. And you could either select either 64 gigs with 4 gigs of RAM or 128 gigs with 4 gigs of RAM. And the thing is, this had all of Windows 10's features. Yes, all of Windows 10's features. And also you had a smart hinge design also, so you can sit down, watch a movie, whatever it is. The Microsoft Surface Book. This year Microsoft re-editioned their Surface Book with a base model. It was kind of like a Spectus. Now the Surface Book came with the Windows 10 Creators Update Edition. Yes, and the key features is optimum versatility, also portable keyboard, and the creative canvas, which is kind of new, and also with the Surface Pen. And it runs on Windows, comes with all of Microsoft applications and all of that. It came with 16 hours of battery life, which is way better than what the original Surface Book had. And you had storage options with 128, 1 terabyte and 2 terabytes, and you could either and also with the Intel i7 processor also. And over to Lenovo, the Lenovo Yoke. This was the best 2-in-1 laptop of the year. Yes, the best 2-in-1 of the year yet. The Yoke 2-in-1 reimagined. You know what made this 2-in-1, this device so great? The keyboard alone. Yes, it had a keyboard, something called a Halo keyboard, which not only was a keyboard but also a canvas for you to digitize your ink writing on paper onto your screen. And it is 0.5 millimeters thick. Yes, that's thin. And it had some special watchings that Lenovo use on their products. And the Halo keyboard can either pop up the regular keyboard when you want it, or you can draw on it. And also it had a pen, which not only was digital, but you can also switch over to real ink also. And well, you know what's a great thing? Whether you like Android or Windows, you don't have to worry. You can buy it with Android or Windows, and it came with Android 6 at 0.1. Maybe sometime it will come with Android Nougat once Lenovo optimizes those features. And also, last but not least, the iPhone 7. Yes, the iPhone 7. Now, most people are like, but Apple took away the headphone jack. Yes, I'm sad. They took away the headphone jack for a silly reason, but it still had some pretty good features. The iPhone 7 had a 5.2-inch display. Also came with iOS 10.1, and also with the new jet black finish and with the new home button. Also, it had the IP67 splash and water resistant marking. And also the iPhone 7 Plus had dual camera setup, where the 12 megapixel wide angle with optical zoom with 2 times and digital zoom up to 10 times. Yep. And also one more phone I'd like to make mention from Apple is the iPhone SE. The iPhone SE was launched sometime back in summer. Yes, and this phone was a small phone, and actually it was the first phone to actually come with iOS 10. It came with it had a 4-inch Retina HD display. It had the A9 chip with a 12 megapixel camera, and also it has a headphone jack. Yes, that's good. And it had a 2 times faster CPU performance than the iPhone 5S, and also can support 4K videos. And also I'd like to make an honorable mention from Samsung, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Yep, the Note 7. It was a great phone, but it went down with a bang. But let's forget about the Note 7, it's gone. But still, we had the S7 and the S7 Edge with 32 gigs, 5.2-inch and 5.5-inch with the S7 Edge, and also IP68 water resistance, and not to mention VR support, extendable memory, design storage, great camera, HDR, all of that, and also a great battery which lasted for gave you a full day. And there was also the S7 Active, which was a more durable version, and it had the IP68 certified dust and water resistant, and this was the most durable phone of the year. But as you all know, all Samsung Active phones are exclusive to AT&T. But if you don't want to get the S7 Active, there's still the S7 and the S7 Edge. And not only that, 12 megapixel camera, 32 gigs of storage, AMOLED display, IP68 water resistant, and a 3000 to 3600 amp battery. Yep. And so that is it. Keep recording. Tech Guy signing out with the best tech of 2016. And I'll see you for the tech in 2017. Bye.